Okay, we just had Johnny Fraser on the podcast. It was epic. We talked about his upcoming fights. We talked about health. We talked about we talked about a lot of shit, Cancer even.
Yeah, bringing nutrition into the fight game, but also little gems around the people that do want to get involved into MMA, people that want to get involved into some sort of training, and just psyche tips around that pressure that can help anyone, no matter what modality you're in, not just the MMA field. And it's for all the martial artists out there, get into it. For all the future martial artists out there, get into it. And
or for anyone who's a fan of the sport.
Yeah, tune in.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Correct Culture podcast. Today we have Johnny Boy Fraser. How are you, bro?
Yeah, good man.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks, man.
A lot of people don't know this, but our fucking roadcaster shit itself, we already did a potty with him, which was fire, and then then our roadcaster shit itself. So we're doing another one with the boy.
Yeah, and it's good because I was just saying how I don't really remember what we spoke about. So yeah, it's good we didn't watch it back over. And lucky we never write down questions. So.
Fully, just free flows.
Maybe we should start preparing more.
Yeah,
but no, it's worked.
Nah, it's good.
It's worked.
It's good.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. So Johnny, man, how so for people listening, bro, like, because you're a professional MMA fighter on the Australian circuit.
Yeah.
And how we were saying how when did you start? Was that your very first class at of any sort of martial arts besides boxing back in the UK at Bombers that time at Jits? And how long ago was that?
That was the first jiu-jitsu class. Yeah,
first jiu-jitsu class.
August 2016. That was.
Oh, true.
Yeah.
Fuck, you've gone quick. Holy shit. Yeah. And since then, how did you get into MMA, and what do you feel like was the catalyst of you wanting to fight, really? And was it your adrenaline rush, or just something to do at the time, or was it even an idea that you want to do it professionally, or did it grow into that? And how did that dream begin?
Like I was always fighting as a kid, but I started doing I trained like a traditional style of kung fu and shit as a kid, and I thought that I wanted to be a boxer as a kid, you know, like my dad was always into martial arts, like he kind of taught me when I was like little, you know what I mean? But then I ended up I had an MMA fight when I was 18 with just traditional martial arts training, with no like jiu-jitsu, no wrestling, fuck all. And I ended up getting guillotined in like fucking 40 seconds or something. But yeah, it was like the whole plan for the fight camp was don't get taken down, and if you do, just stand back up. And I had zero idea how to do any of those things.
Yeah.
So yeah, that went to shit.
Yeah.
And I had like a kickboxing fight and a boxing, like a white collar kind of like corporate boxing thing, like a few years later. But I was never consistent, like, you know, so I was always on the piss of fucking doing things I shouldn't be doing. Came to Australia, had a class at Bombers, trained there for a few weeks, and I ended up started training with Callan Oak. As soon as I started training, started hitting pads with Larry, I was like, and they were like, do you want to fight? I was like, fuck yeah, I'll fight. So I was like, signed up for a fight, and then fucking the rest is history, man. Like, I always thought I wanted to be a boxer, but I always thought MMA was fucking shit, to be honest. Like, I used to look at it and think like, it's just brawling and shit, you know? But like, once I started, I realized how technical it was, and even just like the striking style, it's just way more technical than I thought it was, like, you know?
Yeah. It's heaps different, to boxing,
Yeah.
And you get so much self-expression from the way you can stand and throw kicks and stuff, You can fight on the inside and way on the outside and shoot for takedowns. And
I was watching the fights on the weekend with Islam versus Dustin, and remember as I was watching, I was like, man, this is so much better to watch than boxing.
Yeah.
Like the shit that was going down, and just like the scraps, and just the absolute excitement of so many different things.
Yeah.
You know, it can happen even when they get close to a submission and whatnot, even the crowd gets pumped for that. And I was thinking like, fuck, when I watch boxing, like it's still enjoyable, right? But you realize, fuck, it's just nowhere near as like exciting as MMA.
It's fucking boring, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Let's be honest. I used to box. I used to love it, but it's like, yeah, I think it's just gone shit. There's all this corruption in it, and it just seems like there's the weirdest decisions get made, and then they don't match up the best guys,
Yeah.
and it's just like that's what I love about the UFC and MMA in particular is like they're always matching up the hardest fights, man. Like Islam versus Poirier. I watched it again last night, and I was just like, it's just how good is Islam and just as an all round fighter, eh?
Yeah.
Insane.
Fucking nuts. Like he just knew that he was getting kind of pieced up on the feet a little bit at the end there, and he's like, "Fuck, I'll shoot." Just changes up the game, like.
Yeah, and how we're saying like that, the cardio. The cardio is fucking such a scary thing for someone to have. Like you got cardio, you know, like that. And we were saying like, I feel like you're sort of born with that. I know there's a level of training you can do for it, and obviously there's people that are sort of down the middle. Like you see it, people like Rafael dos Anjos and that, where he can he's fast twitch still, but he can still seem to go, you know. But how I said I got my genes done, and when you get genetics tested, that tells you, oh, you're probably fast twitch, you probably don't hold lactic acid very well, and I watched my genetic makeup, and I was like, that's me. Me. Like I got about 2 hard rounds in me, and then if I can do longer rounds if I'm really focused on it. But some people, like I swear, like yourself, like I watch you go hard, and you're still going sort of hard in the 3rd round, 4th round, and whatnot. So I feel like.
Yeah, you're the perfect example of that, eh?
Yeah.
Someone who like a picture like a diesel truck that just keeps going, eh?
Diesel truck.
that just has like but you're fast too, you know? So it's like, fuck.
Yeah.
Scary kind of cardio.
Yeah. And with fighting, man, like how did you find your transition from boxing or kickboxing into, like, say when you started working with Kyle, what was the difference there that you found that you had to change from your boxing stance and whatnot?
Just getting used to the takedowns and stuff was a fucking massive change, like, you know? And just learning jiu-jitsu as a whole was a massive wake-up call, like, you know, like even when I first started on the Bombers, you know, I was getting like subbed by like fucking 2-stripe white belts and shit. They were small guys, and I was a big fat fucker at the time. So that was a massive wake-up call. But then transitioning to MMA, it's just a different animal altogether, and you know? The striking side of things, I feel like I adapted that like pretty well, pretty quickly. I feel obviously it's been like a big progression over the years, like, but I think I adapted that pretty well. But like the defensive wrestling and even adding in the offensive wrestling thing like took a bit of time, like, you know. But it's it's like going back to like the boxing thing, and it's like boxing's like just got, it's been around for so long, you know. It's only so much you can do with just your hands, like, you know. With MMA, there's so many ways to win, so many ways to lose.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's so exciting, like. But yeah, it just never gets boring. The training, the fights are always most of the time the fights are exciting. I just love it, man. It's it's a mad sport, right?
And if for the because heaps of listeners, they obviously follow, they watch us do a little bit of jits and seen us do a little bit of MMA and whatnot. And there's a lot of guys that listen to this that like want to train and whatnot, but you just haven't found themselves to get down to a gym. Like, any advice for like new females or males wanting to get into MMA, even just the training aspect of it? And do you feel like there's a better time spent for those early days? You know what I mean? Like what they should be doing what you wish, I wish I started doing this instead of putting time into this at the start. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the basics. Like for the basics are just that's where the fucking gold is. Like, you know,
Right.
Everyone gets so caught. Like, yeah, I was the same when I first started jiu-jitsu. You're looking at all the fancy shit online and like, but it's the bare basics are the things that wins fights, and that's where the best in the world are at the best. Like, you know, they just do the fundamentals so well, and add in the fancy shit later on. But for advice for anyone like wanting to do it, just go and fucking do it. It'll change your life. Like, it's and don't try not to be too intimidated. Go to a gym, try a few different gyms, see where your like personality fits with people there as well, and just don't be afraid to lose, like, you know, because you're meant to be bad at something to start. You're meant to be really shit. I was fucking awful at it when I started. But yeah, just get in there and have a crack at things, and you'll meet some of the nicest people in MMA and jiu-jitsu gyms, like.
Yeah. Fully, yeah.
Also some autistic people as well.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely brings it's weird. Like, jits sort of has almost opened up the market for like the sort of people that got bullied in school and whatnot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they can sort of use their brain. And
It's weird when you see, because there's always, it's fucking crazy. If you want to see some archetypes, like go to a GMA, like you'll see the kid who's a nerd who's just fucking so beastly at it, and you're like, dude, you look like a nerd. Like Mikey Musumeci. It's like you just look at him and you'd be like,
yeah.
But he's a beast, dude. And there's one of them at every jiu-jitsu club I've ever been to.
Well, like using Geordie as an example. I'm not saying, I don't know if Geordie's a nerd back in the day, but Geordie was just, he's like not gifted, like athletically, strength wise. Sorry, Geordie, but he's not like athletically gifted guy. He's not super strong.
Yeah.
He just turned up, got smashed for a year or two, and then just slowly started getting good, and now he's fucking really, really good. He's got such a good jiu-jitsu mind, and it's like, he's a really good example of like
perfect example.
You don't have to be physically gifted or whatever, you know. He just went in, turned up, day after day, loved what he was doing, and I think, you know, he used to be a bit of a partyhead back in the day. He started doing jiu-jitsu and just turned, like, just completely changed his life, I think, like. But he's a fucking really good example for it.
Yeah, 100%. And then, you know, then you get your genetic freaks. Like, I think Ramey's a guy from our gym, and he's just like, dude, I think he's not even been doing it 4 years, or maybe just 4 years, and he's like black belt level already.
He's a weapon.
He's just, you know, there's all sorts of different kinds of people, and it's so cool.
Yeah, you can learn it way quicker than when I started.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
like
we wasted a lot of time
so
on dumb
many fucking
shit.
years doing like just like a technique that I'd forget the next day and shit, like that over and over and over again, instead of doing like, it's weird how it's transitioned now into like actually trying to figure out
what works and
the
what
problems instead of trying to remember technique. And that wasn't even spoken about at the start, man. It wasn't even a thing,
Well, that's the evolution of it too. Like, you know, when we started watching the Gordon Ryan stuff, and he's going, a lot of the other shit doesn't work, and then I really realized that it doesn't. I'd get taught something and I'd try it a lot and a lot and a lot. And sometimes things work and you just got to adjust a few little things, but some things just do not work. Like they're not high percentage at all. So you're like, fuck, I just want to do what the best guys in the world are doing and what's working. Yeah. And now we have YouTube and tutorials to see that, which is pretty phenomenal, eh?
Yeah.
You can speed up like Ramey showed, like you can get really good really quick.
And just privates, like, because there's people listening. John's, we're doing privates once a week now. Just sort of getting back into it. I did a bit of MMA back in the day, but I never went super sharp. I was always turning up to striking in that, but I never really focused on my technique of a lot of things. It was always just group classes. In group classes, people can't catch everything, and even when they do, they would catch me doing similar things. But I need someone catching me fucking every time I do it in a round, you know, before I start learning. And fuck, man, I'm just catching myself every day, really, in the kitchen shadowboxing now, and it's so good because I used to do that all the time too, and I stopped doing that. But now I've got like something to work at, and I realize, man, private lessons, fucking anything, like it's helped so much. Definitely. And it's ignited it back into me again. Like I'm trying to find boys to spar with and just move around, and it's fucking so fun. Like it's and that's it. Because footwork, I was never really sharp on my footwork at all. I'm still not, but now that's where my awareness is in my brain at the moment, more than my hands and everything. I'm just trying to get my feet right. And yeah, what you showed us with that is fucking gold. So I was just like, you can rapidly learn. That's why I can't wait to see you have your own club one day, man. Once you're done with your competing days, it's such a sick career path, and it's something that's gonna you're passionate about it. I can see you're passionate about it, and how we were saying, like when you teach, you get better. Like you get way better. You start catching the things you're doing, catching us doing, and it's fucking it's exciting.
Like cements it, eh? Like cements the technique.
Yeah. When with fighting, bro, like losing versus winning, you know what I mean? Like how did you feel like you reacted? And were you nervous when I know you did a fight back when you were 18, but say when you got proper into it and you started fighting over here, would you say you were nervous? And did you win your first fight?
So when I got into a proper, So I won my first fight. I think I had a first round stoppage.
First round stoppage?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
TKO?
Yeah, I was ground and pound it was. But it was actually back in the UK. So I started training with the Noak boys, and I ended up, I signed up for a fight. The guy pulled out like a couple of weeks before, and it was meant to be just before going back to the UK. But then I got offered a fight 3 days after landing in the UK. So it was like, fuck yeah. So it was like cutting weight on the plane and stuff. It was like, couldn't eat any of the plane food. I'd been a greedy bastard myself. Like it was a hard work hours. But I went out and finished the guy. But in terms of nerves, yeah, fuck man, I get nerves now. Like, yeah, I get nervous. You lose sleep over it coming up for weeks of a fight. But it's like, I remember Kyle saying to me, he's like, nerves and excitement feel exactly the same. It's just like everyone thinks that it's just nerves, and that helped me a lot, like, you know, because you're like, fucking hell, this is like overwhelming, this shit is like, you know. But when you realize, like, fuck, most of this is like excitement to go out and perform, like, that helped a lot. But sorry, what was the question again? I forgot.
And yeah, that was it. But also like winning versus losing, like,
yeah,
and for the psyche and how did you take your first loss?
Your shit. Absolutely shit. Yeah, it's fucking the polarity of the two is mad. Like I think I took it on the chin, get straight back to the gym and just keep on working hard. Like, but a loss fucking hurts, man. I don't know what it is about like I'm pretty competitive anyway, but when it's fighting and someone beats you, it's like, oh, someone's just fucking taking away something from you. You know what I mean? It feels so real, like. But I find like I used to get like a bit fucking down after, so you'd win a fight and then you'd be trying to hang on to the happy feeling, but like you just can't hang on to it. Like it's like trying to squeeze fucking water into your hand, trying to hold on to it. So you just, same with the losses and the wins, like, you know, you just take it, like ride that wave when you're fucking over the moon from winning, and then you just fucking forget about it and enjoy the everyday training, like. But try not to suck your own dick too much from winning, and don't kick yourself in the ass too much for losing. Like,
okay. And when you lost, did that really spark more? Like, I'm training extra hard, I'm doing this, or
fuck yeah. It gives you that extra fucking push. Like, you know, I think I train my maximum every time, regardless. But like, definitely gives you like fucking months of like, I gotta kill this next guy. Like, you know, especially like. Yeah, like I'm sitting on a loss at the minute now. Like I fought back in, I think it was March. It was, got submitted, and sitting on like playing a game of rugby. You fucking lose. You go back to training the next week. You play again. You get to rights and wrongs. But sitting on a loss, you're like, fucking hell. It just drives you and drives you and drives you. You know, like so you just think about it all the time. Like I lost a couple. It was a few fights ago, but I lost a fight, and like. I'd fucking 6 months later, I'd be sitting there brushing my teeth and I'm thinking, fuck, I can't believe I can't beat me. It just fucking comes back and bites you in the ass. You forget about it after a few months, and it just comes out of nowhere and reminds you. But I think that's good though, you know, it keeps you on the right path and that as well. Like, I think, it's refreshing, man. It's got to fucking, you got to just right those wrongs. You can't just kick yourself in the nuts or like, oh, this is fucking shit, I'm not doing this anymore. You just got to get back, work harder and get better to make sure it doesn't happen again. Like,
yeah, right. Fuck. And I watched that last fight, man. It was such a good fight. Hey, it was such a good fight. And I feel like it was right around the time it was starting to just break too, because you were just putting on pressure. Yeah. And I saw you didn't let it up. You didn't let it up. And then right at that bit, I was like, oh, he's about to go down here. And then he just slipped in that fucking... What do you call that shot? It's like a no-arm in guillotine setup, hey?
It was a rear naked off, but he was off because he's like 6 foot fucking 6 or whatever.
Huge, man.
He managed to get it in as I was pushing him up against the fence, and he got like a rear naked standing off the side of me, no hooks and that. Yeah. But it was just a mistake I made during as he slipped the choke in, and then a moment of hesitation just fucked me. Like, you just can't afford to make mistakes like out of that level, like, you know, because you just pay for it.
When someone's really tall and rangy like that, like what's the approach that you would go into to get in on someone like that, you know?
Bite down and try and punch him in the mouth.
Fully.
I don't know, just like, there's a few different ways, isn't it? Like, it definitely adds an element when they're tall, but then you can have the same kind of thing when someone's shorter than you that's coming underneath you as well, like, you know, so he's experiencing different problems as well, like. But definitely the range thing, you just got to close that gap and make him miss and capitalize on it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's cool, like, I see that what you showed us with the, like, 1-2 stepping, I realized that would be essential for someone rangy that I still obviously do struggle with rangy people, but I was always just going 1-2 and keeping my feet planted, and then realizing I could never hit with a 3 because my feet are so my back foot's so far back.
Yeah.
So when you showed us those little tips, that's what I've been thinking about. Like, how can I rush in on people? And that's how you can just keep walking into them.
Double. You have to double jab. You have to double up on the jab pretty much with the rangy guys.
Yeah.
That's scary.
And with jits, man, like, what do you feel like has been the biggest help for you? Like, because I watched you just get really good at jits all of a sudden. Like, you know, you went to Bombers and you started with Noke and you started putting in work into that. Like, how do you feel like, because I feel like you're very all round, like you're pretty good everywhere. Is that the way you feel as a fighter, or what do you feel like is your favorite place to sort of be?
In terms of MMA or jiu-jitsu?
MMA. MMA.
I really enjoy the grappling side of it, like, you know, but I think like I'm most competent on my feet. And I think that's where I'm most dangerous. But I think my grappling is underrated as well.
Yeah.
But it's a bit shit to say. I'm actually coming off the back end of a submission, isn't it?
That was pretty random submission.
That was a pretty random submission.
But I think I'm most competent on the feet. I think that's where I'm most dangerous. I think that's where people are most worried about me when they take a fight to me. But the fact that I can wrestle and I can grapple as well, that's a pain in the ass for people as well. So they just don't know whether I'm going to shoot as well. So I think I time my shots pretty well as well. So like, but yeah, I think I really enjoy the grappling side of it, but I think I'm most dangerous in the feet. It's more, that's where I'm going to finish fights most of the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
I think the evolution of MMA too. I think we'll see a lot more feet work and stuff like with leg locks and shit like that as well. Hey, I really believe
we haven't
that.
seen that yet. Proper, with a big phase of it.
Yeah. It's like because you just see how, you know, the jiu-jitsu world's kind of caught up in their, you know, footlocks are massive. And I know you can get hit in the head still, but like you saw Dylan Dennis even when he came in and toe holded that guy like so easily. Like I wonder if it's going to be like that in the future, you know?
Yeah. You wonder, like,
it might not be, but
you saw Gary Tonin do it recently and got knocked out, while he was
for sure.
He was doing it. It's like a hard
it's
one,
a hard one.
Yeah.
But fuck it, they're just so fucking lethal.
Yeah. Somehow they just fucking they somehow get out of him somehow in there, right?
Yeah.
I remember in my fight, man, thinking it is completely different to what I've thought it was. Like how it's just not the same. You know what I mean?
Like when you're in the fight?
Like jiu-jitsu, because I just had a lot of when I had my first fight, jiu-jitsu, transitioning that into MMA, how I realized, I remember I did a drill with this guy. He was a bit bigger than me. He was a fair bit bigger than me at Tribal. And he was in closed guard. I was in closed guard and he was just seated. Sorry, I had him in closed guard. And I just had to stop his punches and try and obviously get out, and he just had to punch me. And I remember thinking, holy fuck, like I'm fucked. And in guard, I was cooked because this guy was a bit bigger, and every time I try to do something with his hands, I just cop a little punch to the head. And I realized all that technique, all that closed guard technique and everything for me personally just went out the window, especially when they were a bit bigger. I realized, fuck, everything you do, my body's not letting me because I know my face is about to be punched and shit.
Yeah, it changes it so much.
It changes it so much.
So much, yeah. I remember the first time I did like proper MMA sparring where we went down to Integrated with Kyle, took us down to spar with Jacob Targ and Dan Hill. And Jacob took me down and punched the fuck out of me for 5 rounds. And I remember after sparring, and Kyle said, Jacob, how old are you? He's like 19. He's like, John, you? I was like 24. He's like, you just got bashed by a fucking 19-year-old. I was like, how'd that feel? I was like, fuck you, Kyle. It's fucking awful, man. It's fucking terrible. But it was just like, you feel, because I did so much, I think I was doing too much straight jiu-jitsu. And then when you add punches in, I was like, fuck, I didn't even know what to do with the time.
Yeah,
like, you know? Because it's like almost like a different sport. Like,
it
is,
for sure.
And like, you boys would know, like trying to grapple with like even just doing straight jiu-jitsu with an MMA guy, it's a different kind of style of rolling. Like, you know, they're way harder to hold down. Like jiu-jitsu guys, if they're on their back or they get swept, they're like, oh, cool, I'm playing bottom now. But MMA guys scrambling non-stop to get back up.
Yeah.
And it's also fucking hard actually to hold someone down and punch them as well, isn't it? To like land some significant shots. Like it's fucking, it's way harder than it looks like.
Yeah.
I remember when I first started, I was like, fucking hell, this doesn't look like it does on the TV. Like, you know? This is fucking mad.
Yeah, I remember like after my pinky was fucked up and shit, I was like, when did that even happen? Like, I swear I didn't even hit the guy. Like, you know what I mean? which is that's still I can still feel that fucking pinky sometimes, man. Like right there, that
What, did you
bump.
dislocate it?
Oh no, I didn't dislocate. It was just like it just went big and maybe for a second or something, but it was just like for a year, man. It was just like a dull ache, and it's still like it's never been straight right since. It's still like a little bump in it.
Yeah.
But I think it was just a little jab, but somehow it just hit. Like there's so many little things you're not feeling at the time, and afterwards your whole body was like, I think I only got leg kicked once, and my leg was sore as fuck the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I didn't really feel that in there, but fuck, the next day I was
Leg
limping and
kicks are
shit.
fucking horrible, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had a real bad one night, didn't you?
Yeah. It was one of my fights where I just took one hard leg kick and I was like, fucking hell, that hurt. And like most shots you don't really feel throughout the fight, but like, fuck, man, after like, it was bad for like 2 weeks, but the day after I was saying to Kyle, I was like, fuck, I think I broke my leg. He's like, you haven't. I was like, I'm telling you, I broke my femur. My femur's fractured or something. He's like, it's not fucking fractured, you had it. It's from the leg kicks. And like, I've been kicked loads of times in training and stuff where you get a bit of a sore, but fuck, man, I couldn't walk properly for like a week, and it was bad for like 2, like, you know.
Yeah.
Even after my last fight, like calf kicks, and like I took like, I don't know, 2 or 3 pretty solid, like Ben puts them in as well. It was like 2 or 3 pretty solid ones. But fuck, it was sore for like 3 weeks after. Like I was probably walking with a bit of a limp for a few days, but then you could just feel it when you're training, doing jiu-jitsu, like just like my foot flexion and shit.
Deep bruise, eh?
Yeah. And a calf, it only takes like a couple of light taps on it, and it's fucked. Like
Really? On the inside?
on the outside.
On the outside.
Just on the outside.
Yeah.
I don't like banging loads of power into them because like I see loads of leg breaks and shit. You know?
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't need it. It's just like tapping them like 2 or 3 times on the same spot, and your foot's fucked. Your foot stops working. Like,
did you see Costa checking those fucking... No, Costa was kicking and old mate was checking.
Yeah.
That looked fucked, dude. And he checked that inside... he went for an inside calf kick and he checked it 3 times.
Yeah.
And Costa was like, fuck. You could see him limping. Dude, that'd be so bad.
oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, because I guess you don't train. Most people in sparring aren't really training the calf kicks too much, are they? So most people, no one's calves would be really adapted to that.
Yeah.
Compared to the
I do. Well, I belt the calves in when I'm when I'm training.
Yeah,
Fuck yeah.
You got to.
We can do some tomorrow. If
Yeah,
you fancy.
it's keen. And
kick fuck each other's.
oh,
calves,
actually, we got that fucking
Yeah, we're out tomorrow. We've got a design conference thing in Brisbane.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Next one anyway.
Next week. Yeah.
Just found out yesterday. Yes, when you throw those calf kicks, are you just like keeping the hips pretty straight and just sort of like throwing it out there, or are you turning it over?
A couple of different ways to set up, but like I just try not to put too much fucking oomph into it in case like they check it or they plant their foot.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you saw. Did you ever see Jack Becker's leg break?
Oh,
did you see Alan Turner?
Yeah, I did, man.
Oh, do you know when you see him like fucking like he belt? It was like 10 seconds, bang, belted it in. I think Aiden planted his foot and it wrapped on his leg, stepped back, steps on the foot, and it just folds. It's just
that's disgusting.
But fair play to Jacko. He's like made a comeback. He's had like he's fighting soon, I think. But like, he's had a few fights already, and he's throwing kicks there.
Well,
he's probably got a steel rod.
He's got a steel rod. Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, when you get those any of those rods or anything, it actually weakens the bone around the area. So if someone gets a hip replacement, and they generally 10 years they got to get it replaced, but they never actually got to replace the metal's fine. It's the bone around it that starts to fall apart.
Yeah, right. Why is that?
Because the force isn't going into the bone anymore, so the bone starts to somewhat atrophy or become weaker. So you always need force to be going down the bone for it to stay strong. And if all of a sudden there's a rod in it, and all of a sudden the tib fib isn't taking all that force anymore, and it slowly gets weaker and weaker and weaker.
Yeah, right.
Which is for hip replacements and whatnot. It's why they. Remember Keith Barr talks about like no one ever has a scar, rarely has a scar on the inside of their hands because they're always touching shit.
Right.
But if you were to get a scar there, if you were to touch it all the time, it would probably go away because the force of just any weight creates collagen there. But everyone touches their hands. That's why you cut that and the scars disappear. So
yeah, true.
Yeah, and I've got a rod in my leg, and I could probably vouch for that it's like even running and stuff like it just is different.
How would you do that?
Trampoline place.
No shit.
Like compound fracture. They reckon it was one of the worst leg breaks I've ever seen.
Really?
I shattered the fibula in 12 places, and then compound fractured my tibia, and it came out of the skin and went into the trampoline.
Yeah, right.
It's a fucking.
What burst a hole in the trampoline?
Yeah, there's a hole that big in the trampoline from my bone. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And dude, it was the most traumatic thing I've ever experienced.
Stupid question, but did it hurt straight away or was it later
Nah,
on?
it was like shock straight away. I was like, I remember I did this scream, dude, that like everyone talked about. It was like bone chilling scream. It was like a fucking like I died. Fuck. Because my very first thought was, I'm alive. That could have been my neck. That's what I thought. I was like, that shit can go bad so easy.
Yeah.
And I was laying on the trampoline. I was like, I'm not looking. I know that's fucked. And I was laying in a pool of blood. Oh, so I was like,
that's mad.
Yeah, and I was like, oh fuck, this is gonna be a wild one.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah, so like someone like Jake with that, to keep that bone there, running and skipping and fucking something that forces.
Yeah. Oh, I did deadlifts and stuff like that, and I think deadlifts do help me a lot with that leg strength. Because it just feels like that. But I can definitely say there was a guy we had on recently who had the same. A client we saw, hey Cal, and he had the same thing, and he got the steel rod taken out.
Right.
But to be honest, I feel like I'd be a little scared of getting mine taken out just for bone integrity. Like if you were to feel my bone is like it's all over the shop.
That's right.
And like the rod for me gives me that confidence.
Yeah.
Like without it I'd hate to break it again.
I got 8 screws and 2 plates in my jaw here. I got punched when I was fucking 16. Some bullshit. But I sometimes think about that. I hope my jaw doesn't get like weak from
was that like getting king it, or was it?
Yeah, from the side, just boom, didn't see someone and just cracked it and just shattered through there. At the time, I thought I was fine, and then like basically couldn't eat for a few days, and I couldn't really open my mouth, and I was like, oh, this is fucked. And then they're like, nah, you gotta.
That's mad.
Yeah, we used to scrap, boy.
Yeah,
we used to scrap.
That's funny, is it? And just could not like. Yeah. And like, because Jake used to be known for like punching on back in the day, like on the coast. Like my sister, when she first knew I was hanging out with him, she was like, oh, like Jake Stone, like like thought he was just like a little street fighter kid,
the little angry man.
Did she like say she saw you fight at a party one time, or
I had heaps, man. I just used to fight all the time, like sometimes 3 times a night and shit. And I was so angry, and it used to be this bad, man. I'd drink JD and Cokes, and I'd just be like, all right, no fights tonight, like, because I'm just like, I felt like I am now, like I felt calm, but like as soon as I would drink, this beast came out, like the energy came out of like, and I was a shit fighter, dude. Like I knew how to throw like a 1-2, but yeah, man.
But no one knew how to fight then properly.
No one did
kids
jits,
and shit.
like no one did anything. So you're pretty much fair game. And I would always do, like my dad taught me this thing where you like have your hand here. Dad was like a kung fu 4th degree black belt, and he was teaching me this thing. He's like, you walk up, you're like, I don't want to fight, boom, boom, and then you just like unleash on guns. It's so bad. But man, everyone meets their match. I got put in hospital in Sydney in King's Cross by these 2 guys. Fucked me up, and then the kickboxer in WA that I told you about recently. Yeah. So fucking dumb. And now I look back on it and I'm like, what the fuck was all that about? I was an idiot and also small, and also didn't know how to fight.
Yeah.
But and I think that's a lot of people. They're like, he's tough, man. And I'm like, well, what fighting has he done? Because if you come up against someone who actually knows how to fight, like yourself or fucking anyone these days, it's like you're fucked. Yeah. You're gonna. Yeah. It's like it's you're gonna drown.
You forget how bad you were on the very first day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you can find footage of you hitting the bag and pads and shit on the very first day, I realized, holy fuck, like, and thinking you were all right at the time. Looking all right, you know? You look back and fuck, just shocking. And you realize how actually hard it is to hit someone that doesn't want to be hit if they have a little bit of something. Like, it's like fucking hard, you know, to get in on, and not feel vulnerable at the same time. But you imagine how it'd be now, because you can tell straight away by the way someone shapes up, you can tell real quick by the way they just stand and hold themselves when it's that time, if they know anything. And how you were saying that guy in WA, like the way he shaped up was like tapping his front foot and shit.
Yeah, it was like a Muay Thai stance. Yeah.
Longest can't know something I don't.
Dude, I've never, like I know we talked about in the last party when I was going to hear that. It's he just like, he raised his front leg and I was like, that's a bit odd. And then I just was like, fuck it, I'll get in first. So went to throw punches and I got hit like, it felt like I've never felt my head going in different directions so quickly, man. It felt like it went like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then it was over. Yeah. And I was on the ground like where the fuck am I? And my jaw and I had so many ulcers, man. I had to, for weeks, like it fucked me for like a good month.
Remember Andy Heaton?
Yeah.
And he's a big boy, right? And he was in Goldie and somehow his mate sort of got in a little fight with this other little dude.
Yeah.
And he goes, and he went to go fight this little dude. And then like, as he was there, he just saw like this, some like Queensland Muay Thai thing or something in his shirt. And he goes, man, I just saw this guy like jump up. Then he just went boom, like spinning elbow sort of shit and like fully connected. And he's like, all right, see you, bro. Like, I was just like, I'm not dealing with that. You know what I mean? And the guy was small too, but he's a beast. But if you're in jiu-jitsu, you know?
Yeah. I think it's like coming up against people like say Johnny, or there's people that love fighting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I never fought for the love of it. I fought out of like fear and being an idiot.
Yeah.
You know, like when you actually come up against someone who truly loves it and has that dog in them or the killer instinct in them, you feel it very quickly. Yeah. And it's scary. It's like, I don't want to hurt another human. I'm actually a bit of a pussy. Like, I don't want to kill anyone. Like, but there is people out there that I've seen that they have a fucking switch, man, and they just won't stop, you know? And you see them and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like you have that switch, but it's not really coming from a violent place. It's like coming from just like a workhorse dog place, which is fucking scary. Like it's almost scary when they're not emotionally involved and they just fucking can do it. Like that's like, oh, okay. Like this person's not getting high or low. They're just fighting you with all their skills, and that's like, fuck, that is scary, you know?
Yeah. I think you got to be like fucking emotionally like neutral, and when you come to like proper, you know, like proper fighting there. I think,
it has to be. Yeah,
I've found my groove now. I think like to be in a mental space for fighting, but like, you know, you're going through the thing of going into a fight like fucking amped to fucking hell. You know what I mean? Where you want to kill someone, and it's actually gone pretty good, but then you just can't replicate that because you're just not riding that emotion consistently, you know?
It's too much. Yeah, exactly. Because the next fight's going to be different, and you have a different training camp, and it might not be, you might not have the fire in you for that one. So yeah, you're so right. It's like you've got to, fuck, it's a crazy sport, dude.
And you see some guys that get fucking amped and stuff. Like I love the haka and stuff. You see guys coming out and doing the haka, but then they fucking gas in 2 minutes. Like I remember a guy coming out, he did the haka walking out for a fight, and Kyle was like, if he doesn't finish the fight in a minute, he's going to lose. And he did. Yeah. He's like gassed after like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. And I remember I spoke to him after, and he's like, oh, I shouldn't have done the haka, man. I got so fucking amped up. I was like, fuck, I can see that. Like,
so was that do you reckon that was this big adrenaline dump for him?
I think so, yeah. I think so. Because like if you got all that energy and all that fucking emotions built up, like that runs out, and then it's like flat batteries, like, you know.
And with a tip for that, bro, because I actually had a massive adrenaline dump in my second fight, and what I personally did wrong, I think, is I didn't like go hard enough out the back beforehand. In my head, I was like, I'm going to try and conserve my energy. But that didn't work for me because all of a sudden the jump was too intense. So what do you feel? Do you reckon, like, do you try and like get a good pump out the back before you walk out? Or how do you do it?
Yeah. So like, I think everyone's a little bit different, but like, I like to get a fucking mad blast. So you like almost get the first round out of you, like in the in part of the warm up. And I like to do little bits to warm up, and where I'm like pretty fresh, like. But it's hard to time it perfect because you're like, right, fuck, it's like 3 fights on, I'm gonna start warming up. I got 3 fights to go, I'm gonna start warming up, and then it gets to like 2 fights, and all of a sudden it's like knockout, and you're like, wow, right, I got 1 knockout again. I'm like, fuck, all right, I gotta go now. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't know exactly when you're gonna go, but then at other times you're like, oh, this fight's gonna be so quick, and then it's like a fucking 5 round up for you, and then I'm like almost cold going out. You know? So it's like you just can't time it bang on perfect, but it's hard to do. But I think it's just I think it's just experience, having as many fights as you can, so then you find what works for you. Like I've got I got a pattern now throughout the whole fight day that I kind of follow, you know, like even down to like how my emotions go with like my nerves or whatever, you know, like I've got it set now. It's sus, like but like everyone's different, like everyone feels different things. Everyone like deals with it differently. It's I love looking at that kind of different stuff. Like, you know?
Right.
Did you get like nervous before you fight as well?
It was I guess I got nervous. It wasn't like crippling or anything. It was just like, the way I can describe it for someone is like, you wake up, you're thinking about it. You go to bed, you're thinking about it. Like it's the first thing I think about. It's the last thing I think about, and it's this never-ending amount of stress that I like because it makes me go to training, and it's hard. It's hard to deal with, but you deal with it. But the first one, and this is how in the psyche, when we did eye contact at the weigh-ins, he looked away. And man, that was insane how much that helped now I realize, fuck, because I'm pretty good at that. I'm pretty good at staring them down, putting on this fake fucking confidence and trying to make them like that. But I actually saw him break eye contact, and I could see the fear in the guy's eyes. And then I was like, oh, I've won this,
Yeah,
you know? And even at the start of the fight, I was pacing, looking at him. He wouldn't look me in the eyes. Plus, all my mates were there. They were on a bender. Rowdy was messaging him like, "You're fucking all this shit."
He's messaging the other guy.
My friends, like they were just young, you know, and just like getting in his head.
What about the second fight? Did he look away or
the second fight? He was scared too, man. I could see. Like he looked away. He looked away in the weigh-ins, and when we walked out, do you remember like when we walked out? I was staring at him. He was like. He looked nervous, but his nervous, he come out and started swinging with those nerves. So, and I wasn't prepared for that, right? Also, the second fight, I wasn't as... first fight, I was like, I have to win. This is my first fight. Second fight, a subliminal thing in my consciousness was like, okay, if I win this, I'm the champion. I have to defend this belt, but I really deep down know I have to study check and I have to like get out of scaffolding and shit. You know what I mean? And I knew that was what my path I needed. But if I won that fight, bro, I wouldn't be here right now, I reckon, with corrective culture, because I wouldn't have studied and done all that shit, because I would have had to keep... Yeah, so I knew why, and to be honest, it was a little bit of a relief. It's like, sweet, now I don't have all these people coming after me, and I don't have to train, because now I can study. And I pretty well stopped training. Like, I still trained a little bit. I never stopped jits and that, but I was like, I can't put this much time into this if it's not paying my bill. And I know I had to do my check shit. Like, that was what my soul was saying. Like, all right, like you experience that, you experience the win, you experience the loss, you fought for the belt. You know, I fought for the belt early. I only had one fight. It was only just for Coastal Combat one. But it was, that was the way I felt. That was the way I felt. And fuck, he was just a workhorse, that guy, man. He was fucking...
he's a big guy.
He was 7 kilos heavier than me in the fight night.
Yep.
I could feel that. And he just didn't, like... He didn't slow down, eh? Like,
man, you can use like
it was
in those things. Like, you're not getting drug tested, right?
No.
Like, you can use you could use EPOs. You could use you could do anything, dude.
Yeah. Well, I saw him a few weeks later, and he was
eh?
way smaller than me.
Yeah.
So, and he had pimples and shit all over his back, and that first. So I was the word in the street was for sure. And that's the way it felt. But looking back, how you talking about that? I look back like I fucking could have beaten that dude. Like, I should have trusted my grappling. I tried to stand up with him. I don't know what I was doing. Like, I ended up taking him down. I took his back and shit. But I remember I was too fucked by then because I just got lit up for the first round. So, and my adrenaline dump, bro, I choked on that. If the cool thing was, if someone was to say, right, you're going to fight a week again later, I would have been way more confident, even after a loss. How weird's that?
Yeah, the losses
not
teach you the most, eh? Even in jits. The losses have taught me. I remember the first black belt comp I went in, I was like, I just got pieced up by 4 people, which to be honest, I felt like I would be able to win.
Yep.
And I just made the dumbest decisions, did all the weirdest shit that I usually wouldn't do.
Yep.
But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have come back, trained so hard to fix those things, eh?
Yeah.
You learn so much more from your failures.
Oh, man, like I think even if like even people doing jiu-jitsu, like some people just don't like competing, but like I think you learn probably fucking 6 months of training in one comp.
I know, I agree.
And even if you go in there and you fucking fall on your face, just fucking do it again.
Yeah.
Just go back and go, I did this pretty bad. And because really, like, it feels so different in competition.
It does.
But it's just made up in your head.
It is.
It's no different. There's nothing that this other person is like no different from other people you grappled in training. Yeah, it might be a bit better or worse or whatever, but it feels so much faster. It feels intense. Like it's made up in your head. It's not even real. Like,
yeah, my last comp I had, just so for you guys knowing, like I went in an open weight division and I won one and then I lost one against a guy who won, but he was a purple belt. I'm a brown belt, so I felt kind of like belittled by that. Even though he's a lot bigger, and he had me in some reverse donkey guard, and I didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
But inside, I was like, I'm losing every fight today. That's what I felt like in my head. Yeah. But then when I'm in the gym at open mat, I'm like confident as fuck. But it's just when I'm in a competition, it's so different, eh? And I went into the afternoon, had a really good match against the guy who won, and then I won the second one. I ended up getting second. But I was like, I just proved this inner doubt that I had was incredible. Like, I was watching it and I was like, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, is that...
Yeah, what is that?
I don't know. Like, but overcoming that was like the best thing ever. But I haven't gone into comp since because it's just such a big thing for me. And it's like, yeah, it's like that. Competing is fucking so intense, dude.
But it's respectable that you turn up again. I noticed something you just said before, how you were like, yeah, you just lose and then you just do another one, right?
Yeah.
And I was listening to someone speak the other day. We were talking about, I think, little like golf shots. And they were like, oh, if you beat me, like, I'm never going to do it again. And in my head, I remember just hearing that at the time thinking, oh, that's weird, because if you would have beat me, I'd want to just keep doing it again until I beat you.
Fully.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
But that was the psyche of, oh, I never want to do it again. And I realized, oh, wow, like where else in life is that happening? Like I just want to fucking figure out why you beat me, and then at least try. Like,
that's the point of life, eh? And that's a good segue into, like, you know, because that last fight you had that you lost, I don't know if it's true or not, but you were going to get a contract into the UFC if you won that, possibly, right?
I don't. You never know, but like I think it's like I was on UFC Fighters to watch. Possibly a contender shot. It's just like it was. It would never be like, oh, you got it. You got it.
Yeah.
But it's like I was in the talks to the right people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like So, but go on. Sorry.
Yeah. So like, to segue into that is like, how important is it? Because I know we had a talk at Jits, like, when you lost that fight, like, I saw people were like messaging you and they're like, you know, keep your head up, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't even message it because I was just like, the cunt's going at the top no matter what, dude. He's got, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how important that is, like, in life and metaphorically too, like, to just don't fucking quit. Just long as you fail as many times as you want, but just keep going.
100%.
Yeah. And it's like,
especially in a fight like that, because I remember heard that between you two then, like, 1 year was sort of gonna do that, and that fight, you could fight 10 times and it would be 10 different results. It was that fucking like it was that good of a fight, you know what I mean? Like that shit could happen all the time, and it always does in MMA like that, you know. So it's like that's where, you could, like, it's just fucking that random little choke, man. I was thinking, fuck, and it was like past that moment, I was like, that's when he's breaking. This guy's breaking. The next couple of rounds, he's not going to be anywhere as quick and all that sort of shit.
I could feel him getting tired. Like, I got a lot of respect for Ben. He's fucking multiple world champion Muay Thai guy. In my opinion, I was beating him on the feet. I just fucking made one mistake, like, you know. So I'd love to get that fight back, and if he doesn't get picked up by the contender, then hopefully I get that shot. Hopefully I get a rematch with him. Like, if he doesn't get picked up, but I don't know. I think he's got issues with his foot and stuff. But I think people are so focused on, like, outcome based. Like, I listen to Josh Saunders, like, he talks a little bit about this, like, you should like be the fucking, I'm gonna butcher this now, the process. Like, you should actually focus on the process rather than focus on the outcome. So just go in there and focus on fucking performing, like, you know, fully. And I think people are so caught up on, like, winning or losing. It affects the way they perform. And like for me, I love fighting. Like, you know, I love what I do. I'll fight anybody. I've never been scared to take a fight. So, like, I'd like to get that fight back with Ben, but, like, I've actually been back and forth a little bit with one of his teammates, Darcy. He's a kind of guy who picks and chooses fights. You know, he's a fucking solid competitor, good wrestler, good striker, but taking fucking easy fights and stuff, like, you know. And I'm sitting here with my fucking hand up looking for a fight, and, like, he's not taking anything, like, you know. So, like, I think people should just go out there and just fight and just fucking see what happens, like, you know. Just don't fucking.
I think that's why you need to be in the UFC. I think, like, it's divine timing, and I truly believe it will happen very soon.
Has to happen,
like,
man.
Yeah, it's like, because then you'll get the fights that you fucking deserve. And man, it's just divine timing.
And if I've always said, if it doesn't happen, I've fought the best guys that I fucking possibly can. I'm not fucking picking and choosing fights. I'll fight anyone, anytime. I'm fucking prepped all the time. Let's fucking go, like, you know. But it fucking has to happen, man. It has to happen. But I'm just gonna keep fucking working until it does. Like.
Well, you're one of the hardest workers I know. You're doing like double sessions every fucking day.
How do you feel like the body? Because that's what we'll touch on, man. Like, you're one of the rare fighters that are actually into nutrition and into, like, just good real food, and, like, you've seen that. Because what I see is they're into calories, into weight cuts, but they're not into inflammation. They're not really taught about inflammation and how once you feel it too, like, it's all words until people feel it. But once you eat bad food and you feel what it does to your body and you feel how you're just not as fire. Like, I know that like Izzy has, like, ice cream the night of his weigh-in and shit because his dietitian says it's all right and shit, you know, 'cause it's this. But I'm like, fuck, there's got to be a better option than that, you know? As if we're going to say optimal, like, what's optimal? I know, you can do that. I'm sure you can do it and be fine. It probably won't change the result of the fight. But fuck, who knows? Like, you still want those little 1% things. And especially if someone was, like, semi-lactose intolerant, they didn't even know it yet, and they just get nasally from that little bit of ice cream, and all of a sudden that mucus is in there. Because I do, man. If I have, like, milk, even the raw milk, I'll get nasally. It's very subtle. I've only noticed in the last year and a half, but But I realized, oh fuck, every time I've had too much milk, I feel nasally, which then reduces my air, which then means I'm not going to have this optimal cardio and whatnot. But yeah, how do you feel like doing those double training sessions and that? Like, and what's your nutrition like, bro? Like, what's a typical sort of the way you eat? You know,
really good, man. Like we spoke about before. Like my missus did your guys' cleanse, and that kind of changed the way I've ate since then. You know, don't get me wrong. I have my fucking days.
For sure.
I have my days, and sometimes, you know, if I'll have a drink, fucking very, very rarely a drink, but like, fuck, I'll have a pizza or something like that. I'll eat something I shouldn't, like, now and again, but like, I'd say 90% of my diet is whole food. And I've always been the calorie guy. I have to do both now, but I think I didn't realize how bad I felt eating shit food until I stopped eating fucking shit food. And what actually helped me as well was just enjoying cooking. Like, before I was just a lazy bastard. Oh, fuck, I can't be arsed, you know, buying food out. But like, since enjoying cooking, and actually, like, I love cooking now. My missus doesn't cook in the evenings. She helps do the food because I love it. Like, I just love taking over and doing it. But since I started enjoying cooking food, then my diet has been consistently good for about 2 years now, you know? And it's made such a difference. Such a difference. It's weird with like, I understand why the guys do it with the dietitians for athletes and stuff. But I think, like, the first, like, they offer the ultra processed shit, like, almost as the first protocol. I don't know why they don't offer like a whole food option. This is what you should go to first. Try and go organic and everything else. This is the first protocol, but it's always the shit is filtered in there as well, you know? I don't know why, but
well, in dietetics at uni, that's generally what's taught, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think they still talk about, like, a friend Kate's doing dietitian at uni right now, and it's still like, she goes, it's crazy. Like, she's pretty into like carnivore and whatnot, and she's like, it's like 2 pieces of white bread in the morning and shit, and like, what's been filtered into it is the whole industry, the food industry, the pharmaceutical industry. Everything's been somewhat filtered into this whole education system because they fund shit.
Yeah, they fund the studies. They fund everything. They fund the universities.
Yeah, right.
So like they put their little thing in. Yeah.
And I remember Paul said years ago, like, this is all common sense to you now, but like, I remember when I first started, and he's like, listen, he's like, when I like, if you're doing martial arts and shit and you got bruising and shit, you're going to ask your body to turn spinach into that tissue. It's like, you got to replace flesh with flesh. If I do a heap of deadlifts, and he goes, I just broke down flesh, my body craves meat. For the next 2 days, it craves meat, you know? But then at the same time, I'll go traveling and I'll just like fast, or I'll just have fucking a salad and a little bit, or some bone broth, whatever. He goes, this is the relationship with your body that you can get. And you get more energy from your food, not calories energy, but the way you feel. And even like eating till you're not full, but eating till you just, and he goes, have you ever had the same meal? It's all healthy, but you eat one till it's full, or you eat one till you're just not hungry. Take note of how your energy is after that. And the way you chew your food and all these subtle things. I'm like, fuck this, you can improve everywhere, you know? But the more you do it, it's like, I can tell when someone's inflamed real quick. I can tell when my friends are inflamed. They'll be generally, you'll see someone beer or inflammation, they'll have like a red tinge to their skin. They'll get like especially beer, right? You know how, beer. If you were to do an archetype alcoholic, everyone would probably draw them with a bit of a red face and don't even realize they do that, right? But that swells on all the joints. That swells on all your connective tissue, and that you limit range of motion. And not only that is, your tissue degrades and collagen degrades slowly, how Keith Barr was talking about that. And this is all new shit coming out.
Clean coffee, eh?
And if you want to be a professional athlete and you want a longevity in your career and you don't want that random little ligament injury that's going to put you out of fucking 6 weeks of training, like, these are these little 1% things. And it's, once you start that path, it's like Sean O'Malley's already onto that, man. He's been onto it for years. Like, he's, I remember watching a YouTube vlog where they had Paul Chek's book early days, and they were like just lauding him. I was like, man, these guys are living our life at the moment. This is when he was like, before he was huge. And now he like fully eats organic, has his meat, ice baths at night and shit, does the meditations, all the things, and fucking became the champ.
Yeah. Isn't it a mad concept that you got to pay more for your food not to have poison on it though?
Yeah.
It's fucking nuts, isn't it?
It is.
It's fucking insane.
I know.
That's crazy.
It is crazy,
How is
bro.
it even legal, like, you know?
I know. And especially it's young. It's like, it's 70 years old. Like, pesticides, herbicides, rodenticides, they're only 1953 they started to come out. So it's before that, like, then that's our grandparents or our grandparents parents.
Yeah.
They're really they were never really that overweight. Like obesity wasn't a huge thing back then. It's rare to see someone obese because there wasn't as much sugar, like, and there wasn't as much processed food. There was still sugar, but a lot less of it and a lot less refined sugars.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just crazy, to think that we've kind of lost our way. But that's like cancer rates have gone through the roof. Like, and Paul showed a study on that, and it was like, I think it's like 1 in 3 now.
Right.
2 in 3.
I think is it even get to like 1 in 2 now,
1
bro?
in 2, I think.
Yeah.
Scary, man.
Yeah, like,
it's scary. But the thing is, like, cancer is basically like it's a syndrome X. It's like your final stage, and it's a hard one too because you get kids that have cancer. That's what froze me a little bit. Like, I understand that, like, if you punish your body for a long time,
Death by 1,000 cuts, isn't it?
yeah, it's like, I get that. But like when you get kids that are born with it, or kids that get it at 4 or 5 years old, and you're like, fuck, where was that? Like,
yeah, and it makes you wonder, and not from any cause of blame too, but you just never know about like, there's probably a reason for everything subtly. It could have been something down, some random heavy metal in the mum's fucking thing. It could have been like something during pregnancy. It could have been that mum giving that one during pregnancy, and just a huge genetic weakness that if they're not on point with some little nutrient density, it can manifest as a cancer that you can't always quantify.
yeah.
But I know what you mean. Fuck, it's like if you're just born with it.
Yeah, that's
you just
that's
wonder
true.
how.
You wonder if there is a full reason for it.
Yeah.
But so fuck, who knows?
Yeah, you'll never know.
I don't know the cure yet, boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Scary shit though. Do you think about like your phones, like fucking wireless earphones, like fucking so many things now that could be just fucking like get into a somehow, like,
Dude, the wireless headphones thing's
down.
nuts. I got an EMF reader, and we filmed it the other day, man. The amount, like, my Bose headphones put into your brain, dude, it's crazy. It's not quite as, it was like 6,000 in the iPhone, and it was like 2,500 hertz in the headphones. But that's it's crazy, and the iPhone's nuts.
Yeah,
you would not, once you see this reader beep, dude, you will not put an iPhone to your fucking ear.
well, you get so many. You get
Sitting next
remember
to
there's that Sydney surgeon talks about his kids aren't allowed. He goes, just so many people, like, that brain tumor they take out is on the side of their phone and shit. You know what I mean?
Well, when I just recently come back from the UK, one of my best mates like passed away recently from it was from a brain tumor. It was actually on the side where he's on the phone in his right side.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, and you can't ever say for definite it's that, but I remember he used to say to me, he said I was only speak through my phone on speakerphone now. You know, it's like he said that was on the side that he'd be holding it.
Or the wired headphones. Yeah. Well, as I spoke to my friend's wife, her dad is an eye surgeon, one of the best eye surgeons like in Queensland, and he said to my friend, he's like, the amount of brain cancer and stuff from phones at the moment, all the surgeons and everyone is freaking out. They're like, what the fuck is going on?
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, it's rampant.
I'm pretty sure Telstra's even put something in their in their, what do you call it, something you sign where it's got that shit in it now.
Yeah.
Like, where it's like they can't really be held accountable for that sort of stuff.
Yeah. If you want a fucking good podcast on that, Demetrius Burov on Paul Check's podcast, and he goes, it's like a 3.5 hour podcast on EMF, and he's done the most studies on it out of anybody.
Yeah.
But he's also the owner of Aries Tech, which is a company that creates like EMF like bouncers, basically. So the technology for it, and it's amazing, dude. But he just talks about how the actual studies on it and the accumulative studies that haven't been done. Right. So like they do studies on it saying it's safe now because they do it over like, say, there hasn't been a 10-year study. Yep. There's only been like a 6-month study.
Yep. There
hasn't been a 20-year study. So like we're very early on in the stages of it, but it will be rampant, and it is showing up like that now. And it's like, just do your best to keep your phone away from your ear and your fucking nuts all the time.
I was thinking about this the other day about the evidence-based community, right? And I was actually listening to this physio one, and he says there's no evidence in this, there's no evidence of this, and there's no clear evidence that this causes this. And same with people with phones and
tap
that.
water.
But I'm like, man, that same person telling me this would have been this exact same person in the 60s telling me there's no evidence that cigarettes are causing me harm.
Yeah, true.
Exact same concept. Yeah. Like they need this study before their own logical intuition can tell them. It's like I know we didn't evolve to have the fucking thing next to my head. That's probably going to do something when the whole world is just based upon environment of magnetic fields and fucking water and sun and shit. Like we are just a product of evolution under a certain environment. And as soon as you throw a crazy thing into that environment, common sense would tell me it's probably going to affect something, you know? Like that's not symbiotic with our fucking body. So it's like, I don't know, it goes so deep.
Yeah, and I think like, you know, seeing my mum die from cancer and seeing her suffer so much, I know there's so much I could have done back then now, so I'm passionate about it. And same with Dad. My dad had throat cancer as well.
Yeah.
And that was all about him not speaking truth. And Mum was just like smashing Coca-Colas like we were just kids, dude. I remember there'd be a carton of Coca-Cola every week in the fridge, a carton.
Yeah.
And I'd just be in there at
How
night.
good would that have been as a kid?
Dude, before bed, like,
that.
and she'd put alfoil over the top of her can and I'd just rip it off because I couldn't open a new one and it'd be before bed. And I'd just be like, and I used to lay there awake, man. And I'd be like, fuck, why can't I sleep?
I fucking bet you did.
I was just a fucking little animal.
That's bad.
But yeah, fuck, just get on point with that shit. And that's same like with fighters, like, fuck, I'd love to see, like, you could change the game with that shit. I mean, like, Sean O'Malley's a great example, but fuck, there's not many. I mean, he's not really talking about too much.
And if you got the money and or if you, not even if you got the money, if you got the fucking like is just making different. Like people argue the thing about some seed oils and shit like that. Like, well, the evidence said that it doesn't cause this and that. You know, just a bit of arguments around that. I think Lane Norton goes into
Lane's full
evidence base, which is fair enough, right? But it's like you don't like what. If there's different options which cost the same, are better for you, or are just as good for you, but there's not this worry of causing inflammation and everything else, why are you arguing for the other shit? You know, just looking at how it's made, it's like, why are you arguing the point for this fucking shit? Like, you know, like nobody should be eating this. Like.
I know. I just think like a lot of the world's pretty done with it. Honestly, like, and it's like, and we need the yin and yang too. So I don't want to say like, because we're all one thing, right? At the end of it, we're all just salts. But like, it's you need that yin and yang. But like, if you look at like, you only need to look at what happened with COVID to be like, fuck, we're not really leading the way here, are we? No. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the same with seed oils. And the results you see from like Gary Brecker and Dana White and shit, cutting them out and like.
Yeah, and when you feel in your body too. Yeah, you go eat somewhere that have a heap of it. I fucking feel that the next day, you know? It's like, that's common sense. You know?
Yeah.
The common sense is look how fucked it is, the way it's made and the acids and shit. I know that, again, evolution, my body didn't evolve to have that, so let's not, you know? So it's pretty random, but man, I had this, do you believe in like psychics and shit? Have you ever been to a psychic before?
I haven't, no.
Neither have I, right? But this is the second time this happened now. This girl called me yesterday, right? She goes, I went to a psychic in Budrum. And she goes, I went off the street and just like, we were just walking by, we just went in and she's like, I can take you both now for half an hour. Didn't know their names or nothing, right? And then she goes, so who's Callan? And goes to this girl I know, right? And started speaking about our sort of how we know it, like a little bits like, oh, you guys like don't see each other too much, but when you do see each other, it's like, it's this, and he's into potions and elixirs and maybe like something for men and all this sort of shit, right? And then it makes me like, I was like, what the fuck, right? And then apparently told heavy details about like, she goes, it was like a reading for you. She goes, it was so weird, you know? And then goes, he doesn't know it yet, but he'll be good at getting women fertile. True. Like as in like getting them into like fertility.
Sounds like this chick's trying to fucking
yeah, dude. And I was like, okay, has this chick like somehow already know me and somehow would know? And I went on her and I was like, nah, this chick has like an old tripper, doesn't have any Facebook follow, doesn't follow us and shit. To say the name Callan is pretty random out of all the names. Yeah. And apparently she called me and was like, it was you. She goes, it was just extreme details of your life. And she didn't tell it. I feel like she was more to tell me that she didn't tell me. True. And said something about my relationship with like women and opening my heart and all this sort of shit. True. So I'm like, dude, we gotta go see this chick, and just see. And
maybe me, you, and Johnny should whip in there.
Yeah, and just say,
nah, they spooked me out.
And then I went off down her Instagram, and I looked at her, and I was like, this chick does look pretty tapped in, eh? Like, doesn't look like the lady on the hill trying to be that woman, you know? It just like seems like I don't know, you know, when you look at someone like their eyes are like they're almost somewhere else at the same time, but they're still there. She does all tarot and shit. So pretty random.
That's cool. Like, I love that shit. But fuck, how can you ever know?
I know. That's what I mean. I reckon we got to go see her and see.
Yeah, I'm keen.
Yeah, let's see what she says. Yeah, pretty random. But yeah. Anyway, bro.
So,
fuck it.
What's What's the latest? What's happening in the future? Where are your
any
goals? What
fights
are your
coming up?
dreams?
I'm trying to pick a fight at the minute.
Yeah.
You were saying about Darcy. I'm trying to coax him out to having a fight, but he's sticking with the easy option at the minute. Fucking pussy.
Yeah.
But if not him, hopefully Benny's keen for another fucking another dance as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
But August in Perth will be the next one. I'm just waiting to find out which opponent it'll be.
Sick.
But
For
yeah.
Eternal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sick.
So I'd like to get another 2 in before the end of the year. It'd be kind of cool to get one because the UFC is going to be in August in Perth as well.
Same day, like a
Day
same
before, I think. Yeah.
the day before. Sick.
So,
I'm
like,
coming
it'd be-
over for that, dude,
Yeah,
for sure.
fuck yeah. So like, it would be cool to get a fight on that card the day before the UFC. But yeah, just excited, man. Just fucking working my ass off. I've moved down to Compton MMA at the moment, getting some fucking solid work in down there, getting like a different perspective on coaching and stuff. And yeah, it's going fucking awesome, man. That's actually where I'm going after this now, to go and get my head punched in.
What's a bit of gem that you've taken away from the different style of coaching that you're just appreciating with the crew you're training with at the moment?
What's it again? Sorry.
Like, what do you feel like is different about the style of coaching that you're learning, taking from them right now? Like, what do you take from this group right now?
Just different styles, man. Like, yeah, just different perspective on the striking and everything. I don't know, just a different style of it. Like, Compton's got quite an aggressive style, I think, and like, yeah, he's quite he's very fixed on as a coach as well. Like, you know, he's very involved. Like, you know, he's when we're training, he's fucking on to it. Like, you know, there's 2 of the boys fighting at the moment, so like the focus is they fight in 2 weeks now, Dharma Fan and Blair Bratag. So focus is on them and trying to help them as much as possible. But he's like fucking, he's there, like, you know what I mean? He's not just fucking on his, not just on his phone. Not that I've trained with many coaches that have been like that anyway. But he's fucking, he's invested.
present.
Like, yeah, he's very present. Like, you know,
Sick.
just good, man. Yeah, and like even training with like Dom Arfan, he's a fucking lightweight, but he's a fucking mad grappler. But he's like really fucking good. He's a good striker too, but his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu is like next level.
Yeah,
Like,
sick.
he gives me a fucking hard time. It's good. It's been a really good move. And like even training with Blair recently, he's fighting in 2 weeks. And I think that he's going to be a fucking problem for middleweights in the future. Like, you know, he's fucking good, man. He's
Sick.
really, really fucking good. And he hasn't been doing it for that long either. He's going to be grappling for, I don't even know how long, but he's fucking good. He's good everywhere, like, you know. Gives me a hard time.
Fuck yeah, sick, man.
So it's, it's exciting, man. I'm excited to see where the career goes. Like, you know, it's
Yeah,
good.
man.
It's been a good move for me.
Up and up. Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
fuck
if,
yeah.
and if you want to support our boy, what's your Instagram?
John Fraser, at John Fraser 92, I think.
Okay,
Not John
sick.
Martin Fraser.
Yeah, so follow him on
so-
everything.
Yeah, and
Opportunity,
sponsorship, for
sponsorships
fights.
and stuff like that, man.
Yeah.
Get behind him. He's going to the top, and we're going to sponsor him as well.
Fuck yeah, cheers, boys.
Yeah, we're going to get on that shirt next time.
And also for your one-on-one training, if you're a local here in the Sunshine Coast, we highly recommend it.
Yeah, before he gets too big.
Get the rounds
Get in quick.
And it's really helped us.
Don't
a lot.
take our
Yeah, it's
spot.
really sparked up my really sparked up my love for it again. Eh?
Fully,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah, and
so-
I love just once a week.
Yeah,
like
it's perfect.
for me, it's just perfect, dude.
Yeah.
It's like because I want to put all my energy into jiu-jitsu, but once a week, I'm like,
Yeah.
felt
Yeah, it
way
feels like you're
sharper. Like,
staying
yeah.
involved, and
Yeah.
it's just something else to think about. Now I'm
Yeah.
shadowboxing in the kitchen every day again. you
yeah,
know?
I can't wait to try it out on Ocean Street, dude.
Yeah.
Like some little 18-year-old or something.
Yeah,
What'd you say, Colin?
Yeah. But yeah, anyone wants to jump in, just don't be scared to try your first session. If you've never done it before, you don't know how to throw a punch, whatever, like just have a go. Whether it's
Yeah.
me or fucking someone else, just jump in and have a go because it'll
Yeah.
change your life. Like,
Yeah,
awesome.
it's gonna feel good no matter what.
And as a man listening, and there's a lot of women, probably most of our followers are actually female, and they'll have sons and they'll have kids, and I wish, you know, like I highly recommend if you have a son, if you can put them into this somehow. Obviously, a daughter's gonna be great too, but like in that young age, it would have saved so much bullshit in school. I feel like, you know, because the culture in these MMA clubs generally are pretty sharp. You know, it's like respect, but also you learn to fight and you don't fight in the street. That's generally what ideally happens.
And you
know?
hold yourself different. I think you
Yeah.
like when people bully you, if you know how to fight, you kind of just walk around with a bit more of a confidence where it's like, whatever, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's built in the gym from sharpening your sword and having elders that are respectable and teach you. Like, it's fucking mad,
Yeah.
dude. I reckon it's like yeah, men or women, like you have to do it.
Yeah.
It's such a sick thing.
It's fucking gold.
Anyway,
Yeah. Right, bro. Appreciate it coming
Yeah,
on. It's
thanks,
nearly
bro.
Hour and 15. So
yeah,
Thank you, boys.
appreciate it, man. And
we'll get you
John
back on
Fraser
soon.
92.
Fuck yeah.
Check it out. Check out the next fight. And good luck, bro.
Much love.
Fuck
crew.
yeah. Nice one, boys.
Yeah.